Welcome back. We have three more lightning talks for you. The first one will be from Rachel. And Rachel is a product designer, and she'll be talking about bridging the gap, designer to developer relationships. So, off you go.
Hi everyone. So I'm going to be talking about bridging the gap, designer to developer collaborations, and this is like a love-hate relationship, but we're going to try and merge it today. Hopefully, fingers crossed. So just before we go into this, let's see like a show of hands. Developers, okay. Designers, thank you, Tim. So you're probably very familiar with this situation. Does this picture look familiar to anyone? Anyone have an idea who this is? Nobody? Okay. Oh, I'm scared. And this happens sometimes. And you can obviously tell that there is like a disconnect somewhere. We're both trying to solve the problem, we're both trying to save the world, but obviously something is wrong somewhere. And I got this picture from Jeff Humble on LinkedIn, and ever since it was just stuck in my head, and I absolutely love it because I'm like, yes, this is it. And hi everyone, hi, my name is Rachael and I'm a product designer and a content creator. And fun facts about me, obviously by now with Captain America, you obviously know I love Iron Man and love Avengers and all of that. And I'm a big fan of chicken and chips just because I'm a picky eater, but that seems to do the trick for me. And this talk is supposed to be like a letters to developers from like a design point of view. So I'm going to be doing a lot of dear devs today. So it's like today, dear devs, I'm going to be telling you this. And the first thing, which may seem very insignificant, is communication. We need to communicate off the bat. From the very first start, where we get like some sort of project brief, we need to be communicating and be talking about what you think about it, not be quiet about it, what you actually think about it, what are your feasibility standpoints right from the beginning, even before going into the project. Let us know what you're thinking about it, what you think would not be possible, what you think would be possible, what components you have already that you think would be useful for us, instead of us having to redesign and have to do things that you already have. So it's very important that we communicate throughout the entire life process. Beginning of project, while working on the project, prototype, doing handoff or handshake, however I want it. But let's just communicate. And you've probably heard this a lot, where designers say, you're not the user, it is supposed to be this particular way. But I want to say from a designer's point of view, I'm sorry, we are both not the users and we're both trying to design something that is very useful for the users. So that means we're going to be relying heavily on our research teams to actually do their own job. And that means we're getting insights from them. And that means we're actually designing what they want us to design. And that also means that there is a lot of iteration in turn. So that design that we designed 2 weeks ago just might not work. It's just not our fault, but it's just the way it is. But we also want to listen to you and listen to whatever consideration and opinions that you have, and also test those considerations and opinions. Dear devs, yeah, bit one picks off. And we're not trying to be mean by saying this, and we're not trying to say you did not do your job, but we also want to say that we have design documentations that we have written down, and we have design documentations that we've put together for you. Please read them. They're there for you to sort of look through it so that you don't have any issues, and design actually looks the way it should look. Like, whenever we do code and design review, we want to see this. Let's have like smiling moments where we can sort of review things together. Dear devs, the design is great, it's not exactly a feedback. We want to hear from you what exactly you think about it from point of view. What is going well? What did you think as a team we did really well? What did you think we could have done better? So just be honest. I know it can sound like you're trying to maybe pull us down, but no, let's be honest with each other. That's why we're like a team. So tell us like nitty gritty. This design is great, the animations are great, but we do not have enough components, or we do not have enough timeline to do this. So that means while this is great, we're going to just put it aside for a bit and maybe strip down the design from MVP stage, rather than just saying, the design is great. Then it now takes you like 2 months to build it. And when the product manager comes, they're like, the designers, they're just the one that gave us something that's just really difficult to build. But we could have communicated right from the beginning, and we could have just stripped those design down to like MVP mode first, and then we can then work together as a team. And lastly, we want to hear support from you. If you think something is not great, how can you support us to know better how we can make those things great? How can you support us to know better how we can sort of speak the same language? Dear devs, sign from a designer that just wants to work with you and just build amazing products with you. Thank you. Do we have any questions?
Is there any questions for him? Yeah. Microphone or you?
No, I can share from There is one.
Hi, Martin.
What did you learn from this whole process of doing this talk?
I think it's like coming from like both points of view and not trying to say like the devs are always doing like the wrong things.
But they are.
I didn't say that.
I said it.
But it's also a bit of, there has to be like a bit of balance as well. Sometimes developers can be a bit lazy and not want to do like that thing that is supposed to make the users flow really easy because it's just easier for them to do it that way. But it's trying to find like that balance. I know it is easy to do from A to B, but A to C will actually make the goal really easy for the user. So it's trying to find like that balance and constantly trying to understand each other.
Do you think you succeed with that, or do you need like baseball bats for devs?
I mean, there are like the tough situations that you probably have to go like manager level to say this person is not listening to me. But I also like to think of devs as like my best friends, and I like to make friends with them and say, okay, this is how I'm thinking about this thing even before going into it. What do you think about it? Then there is no like pressure. There is no design yet. There is no sketches yet. This is just both of us talking about what I'm thinking about. So that way it sort of removes like whatever pressure they're thinking about. Oh, I have to code it this specific way now. This is just us just talking about what you think about the logic, and then we can then go into like sketches or wireframes or just what final designs would be like.
I think it was a really good point you made at the start about that you're not a user either, that you're somebody else that's trying to build a product. And
Exactly.
I think it's one of the most important points to get across to developers, because sometimes they think that it's what you want rather than the
Yeah.
what you're paying for. So
It's-
a good point.
Yeah, it's so that's why we rely on like research a lot and also trying to prove that to developers that you're not the user, I'm also not the user. We're relying on a research team to actually do their job. And if they're doing their job, they also trust us to do our own job.
Is there any other questions? Yep.
I'll be in a similar position. I'm a designer as well. But do you think it would be beneficial to current illness in my work and with other teams? Hello. I've done this with when working other teams. With regards to our research phase, and I know you said about communicating at every single part of that process, with regards to the research phase, how important do you think it is, for example, for and our engineers to have visibility into those customer calls or into those user research calls that we're having to gather that evidence so that they know where we're coming from?
I think it's very important because just like every one of us, we have like a certain bias towards whatever projects we're working on, and we have like certain expectations of what the solution should be already. But once we do research, we realize that, okay, that is me just thinking. That is not exactly the case. So with research, we're able to say, okay, this is what I thought it was, but this is exactly what the case is. So research sort of helps us to bring that again, not just to ourselves, but also to developers, because research gives us like clarity. So it's also bringing that clarity to developers as well to say, this is what we got from research, and this is what research is telling us. But at the end of the day, we're also going to do testing as well to be sure that research also pairs with whenever we put out the product to users.
Yeah, because I find that very useful in my work as well, is like our engineers take a lot away from being a part of those conversations as well. Because I think everybody wants to sit at the table, and I think as well, we're designers, but everybody is a designer basically when you're making products. Everybody
Yeah.
has a voice.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.